Welcome everybody to another beautiful episode of I think I have to change this to from Extra Time because I think another one of those big companies have already taken that, but I have to take that from Extra Time to something completely different. But we'll figure out the name later. If you got a name, let me know. I might use it. We don't know. But today we're going to be talking about the new head coaching job for Southampton. It's Nathan Jones, a 49-year-old Welshman, former player, and has played with multiple teams. And this isn't his first coaching job. I don't think any team would ever do that, but this isn't his first coaching job. But we'd like to see what happens, and we got some of our thoughts on it. Again, as always, I have my good friend and partner in crime, Matt, here. Matt, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Great to hear. Great to hear. So, Matt, I'm going to let you begin the story of Nathan Jones and a little bit on it. So, let's go with his career, how he did, maybe some of the things that have been highlighted, and then into his managerial career. But yeah, go ahead, Matt. Go ahead, let's talk about this.
All right. So he started as a U21 coach, as a lot of guys have.
Yeah.
Over at Charlton Athletic in the championship. But about a year later, he was already filling in as assistant head coach for Brighton. He was spent a bit of time as their caretaker manager, and then he moved on to role as a head coach. Why don't you talk a little bit about the rest?
So yeah, after actually a good playing career, he went over to Luton Town, and this was his real official first head coaching job. A little bit about Luton Town, most teams wouldn't know, is that Luton Town actually is in the running now to almost be the first team to ever be in a non-league team, non-professional league team, and get promoted all the way up to the Premier League. They came so close last season, and so Luton Town at the time, way back when, 2016, was actually in League 2, and he got a job with them, working them up, and actually got the team actually a semifinals in the EFL Trophy Cup, which isn't like the EFL Cup, FA Cup. The Trophy Cup is for League 2 teams, Verana teams, and Verana North and South teams. I still will not. I will not change my prediction. I still will say they will be in the bottom half of the league.
Oh, absolutely.
But I will say this has saved Southampton from getting relegated, because now they're relegated. They're relegated right now, in my opinion, and they're in relegation. So they're in that danger range. So Matt, what do you think about the signing then?
I think it's perfect for them because for the last number of years, they've been kind of losing their identity and losing sort of a direction. Mm-hmm. And I think what they were before that, not that long ago, they finished like 8th in the Premier League or 6th. They were in a European competition within the last 10 years. Like, what happened, basically? And what they were so well known for is development, is finding guys, scouting guys, being kind of like that, like Borussia Dortmund team, where it's like they find the promising young guys, they give them playing time when they won't necessarily get at other places, and then they move on. But like while they're playing there, they're playing great. There's plenty of examples. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who plays for Tottenham, he played for Southampton. There's so many examples. I can't necessarily think of them all off the top of my head, but
they've been getting poached for years, like since 2012.
That's the thing. It's like that worked for them. Like that's kind of what their thing was, though. Is like they were the team that young kids who were promising would go to, because like they know they'll get playing time, and then they're sort of a stepping stone club. But like that's fine, and they were kind of like trying to be something different. And it's not been working. And I think that he's the guy to bring them back to, like, he coached under 21s not that long ago. You know, he's got the development mind, and like and he was a player not that long ago, right? He was he's kind of got the leadership aspect too. So he knows what it's like, and I think it's great.
Yeah, one big thing that I saw one time was Theo Walcott. He started his career in Southampton. Actually I believe he got signed by them. It was actually a buy from a lower league team. Got signed, got bought, and then after about 2 seasons, he was approached by. So he went to Arsenal to play. Played okay, didn't play great. I think if he would have stayed in Southampton, he would have been a legend. You know, he would have been the man. Probably would have got Southampton up, but I think who wouldn't want to do it during? I mean, come on, that was when Arsenal was so dominant. Of course, I'm going to go to Arsenal instead. But I think that's what happened. Is you had the mindset there in Southampton was we're going to play well, we're going to be mid-table. Maybe we'll get a couple of years where we go up. But when that does happen, it's all about young players. Yes, we're going to get young players that are going to be poached, but we're going to get money for it, and that was the key. Yeah. But the problem was that they were bringing so much money from these young players that when they had to filter that back in with young players, either what they were doing is buying young players who weren't that great or couldn't live up to some of the promise that they had for so much money. They were using that money to do it, or they were buying good players and trying to do the same thing. It's like, you can't do that. You can't bring in good players to try to bring like the older players. That's not your style, and it ruined Southampton and it made them medium to bottom tier team.
I've got some names here for you for Southampton players: Adam Lallana, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Morgan Schneiderlin, Luke Shaw, obviously James Ward-Prowse. He's still there. He's the guy. He's Victor Wanyama, like all these guys. Dusan Tadic, Sadio Mane.
Yeah.
Like, they've been the stepping stone and the sort of development ground for players for so long.
Yeah.
And they've kind of lost that. And I think they need to scout well as well, right? You can't just
I think
sign anyone.
Yeah. I think that's why they brought this coach in. I think this is what they're going to bring that coach in for, is for that exact reason. They'll bring him in to do the exact thing what they were doing before, bringing those young players, because he's a coach who knows how to use work with the under 21s. He is a coach who's played in the under leagues, that he probably knows a lot of good players down there that are either young or maybe don't play that great or are really good but had no time played up in the Premier League, but are really good down in the lower leagues. And he goes, that kid's 22 years old, which is still young, 22 to 24. Oh, he's good. We can sign him for cheap. They're selling him for cheap. They're only because the championship. Let me tell you, championship. If you get, I got offered one time an offer for $1.5 million and got ecstatic. Oh, 1.5 million. Oh my! It blew my mind for it, right? And then
that's like the whole value of Luton Town, right?
Yeah.
Like all their players combined are that.
But that's exactly it. You can buy those players from under, but you got to get the right players. And then, but the thing is so funny too. Thing is, 3 years later, when I'm literally in first place in the championship. It was the last season I played on last year's game. First place in the championship. I have a guy I picked up from Norwich for, I think, $3 million, because I saved up all my money. I picked him up for $3 million. A team from Scotland wanted to sign him for 10. Okay, sure, whatever. I knew he was a Premier League potential guy, but I was like, I'm going to do it. So I sold him for 10. Then all of a sudden I'm looking, my right winger, who I signed, which was one of the biggest signs I ever did. I signed somebody for $4 million for him. I sold him for 12. Then I got a guy from Colombia who I signed for only $500,000, which was an easy sign. I got from Liverpool $25 million from Liverpool to sign him. And that's the thing though. Now I had all this money, but if I did exactly like Southampton did, I'm going to sign these great players. I didn't. And you know what? I started losing in the division, of course, because I lost my good 3 players. But that's what will happen to you to do. And I think Southampton's got to think it that way. Is they got a coach who's thinking the exact same way as I did, where you might go up and you might be signing, but he's in a division that he can take those little bottom teams from the championship and get them for 500,000, 1.2 million. That's change to this team. That's a couple change. So you get them for a little cheaper, and you grow. You don't start off big. You do like the Newcastle style is right now. Don't go big. Get one good player, then get one good player, and all of a sudden Newcastle's in third, right? And that's what you got to do. So yeah, I really like the signing. I really do.
I think there's one other thing. There's been some recent changes to the loan rules in England and in Europe. Teams aren't allowed to loan out as many players, both like to their internationally. It's or outside of their own country, it's even less. And there's a certain amount, and it's up to a certain age. There are certain restrictions, but basically what's been happening in the last year or two, and every year it's been more and more serious. This year it was more strict than last year, and next year it's going to be even more strict. Is teams who generally have a lot of players in their academy, a lot of players out on loan, like Chelsea, are having to sell more players. It's if you really want them, keep them, or use one of your precious few loan slots on them.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys are getting chances to make permanent moves who didn't have quite what it takes to make Chelsea or to make Arsenal.
Yeah. They're standing right now for you. Where do you find them at the end of the season in May?
So right now they're sitting pretty low. They're 19.
Yep.
I think they finished between 14 and 16.
Okay.
I think before the season I picked them to be 17th. I think this gives them a boost. Maybe not that much of a boost.
Right.
But I think
enough to stay up.
I think they have enough to stay up. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at all the teams around them, Bournemouth is 4 points up, Leeds is 3 points up, West Ham is 2 points up, Forest is 1.
Yep.
They're gonna have to make ground on multiple of these teams. A lot can change, right?
Yeah.
So I think if they can surpass some of these teams, maybe Everton takes a hit, maybe Bournemouth drops a bit. That's all they really need is to survive, and I think they can do it again.
Yeah, I believe so too. Yep. Well, thank you, Matt, on helping me out with this video here, and a little bit of the mindset of what we feel about the coaching. Overall wise, on a scale from 1 to 10, I give this signing, I'll give it an 8. That's a good signing. It's a really good, solid signing. A little bit better than just average. A little bit better than just meh. But it's an 8. What do you get out of 8 out of 10?
So it's tough because I think he doesn't have a lot of coaching history in terms of being in these upper divisions. Now maybe that's a benefit, maybe not. I'm gonna say 7.5 because it has a lot of potential. It could potentially be really good, or it could potentially be like when he was at Stoke City and they lost a lot.
Yeah.
So
we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, Matt, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time.